The quiet hum of dawn often carries more wisdom than the loudest clamor of day. Imagine a vast, ancient forest, silent and deep. Its trees, rooted firmly in the earth, stand resilient against every storm, every passing gust of wind. They do not bend in despair, nor do they rail against the tempest. They simply are. Their strength is not in their ability to shout back at the wind, but in their unwavering stillness, their profound, unyielding presence. This silent resilience, this steadfastness in the face of external forces, is the very essence of the answers we seek. Answers so profound, so imbued with inner strength, that they render all provocation, all noise, all criticism utterly powerless. They are the wise replies that do not seek to win an argument, but to transcend it, silencing not with a clever retort, but with a deep, unshakable peace. Have you ever found yourself ensnared in the whirlwind of a sharp remark, a harsh judgment, or an unfair accusation? That feeling of your heart quickening, your breath catching, the immediate surge of a defensive reply forming on your tongue? It's a common human experience, a visceral reaction to feeling attacked or misunderstood. But what if there was another way? What if, instead of adding more fuel to the fire, you could simply let it burn itself out, untouched by your inner calm? This path, illuminated by the ancient Stoics, is not one of passive surrender, but of active, conscious choice. It is the path to mastering your inner landscape so that the external world loses its power to disturb your tranquility. Today, we begin a journey into 5 such wise answers, answers not spoken aloud, but embodied in your very being, capable of transforming volatile situations into moments of quiet dignity. These are not tricks or tactics to manipulate others, but profound shifts in perception and response that cultivate an unassailable inner fortress. If this quest for inner peace and unshakable strength resonates with you, I invite you to join us. Take a moment to plant a seed of intention in the comments below by simply typing "inner fortitude," and let us cultivate this strength together. Your likes and subscriptions help this message reach more seekers on the path to Stoic wisdom, helping to build a community dedicated to a more resilient and serene life. Let us now explore the first of these wise answers, one that paradoxically finds its power in what remains unsaid, in the profound space between stimulus and reaction. Dranan, the unspoken reply. Cultivating the pause. Imagine a deep, still pond on a windless morning. When a stone is thrown into its surface, ripples spread, disturbing its perfect reflection. But the pond does not fight the stone. It does not resist the disturbance. It simply allows the ripples to expand, to reach the edges, and then, with an inherent wisdom, it slowly returns to its original placid state. The pond's power is not in preventing the stone from being thrown, nor in angrily splashing back at the thrower, but in its unwavering capacity to return to stillness, unmarred in its essence. This, my friend, is the essence of the first wise answer, the cultivation of the pause, the deliberate space you create between an external trigger and your internal response. When someone launches an attack, a criticism, or a provocation in your direction, their aim is often to elicit a reaction, to pull you onto their emotional battleground. They seek to disrupt your inner calm, to draw you into their chaos. Your immediate instinct, often fueled by ego and ancient survival mechanisms, is to defend, to justify, to retaliate. But this is precisely where their power lies, in your predictable response. The wise answer, the unspoken reply, is to deny them that power by simply refusing to engage on their terms. It is to recognize that the disturbance is not in the stone itself, but in your judgment of it, in your automatic reaction to its impact. Consider a common scenario in the modern workplace. You're in a meeting, presenting a project you've poured countless hours into. Suddenly, a colleague, perhaps feeling insecure or simply disagreeing, interjects with a snide remark, questioning your competency or the validity of your work in front of others. Your heart might pound, a flush might rise to your face, and a sharp, defensive retort might immediately come to mind. This is the moment to invoke the pause. Instead of firing back, take a breath. Let the words hang in the air. Observe your own internal reaction, the anger, the indignation, the fear of appearing weak. Then consciously choose not to engage with the emotional content of their remark. You might calmly acknowledge their comment without validating its premise, perhaps by saying, "Thank you for sharing your perspective," and then smoothly steer the conversation back to the objective facts of your presentation. Or in some cases, you might choose to say nothing at all, allowing their negativity to simply dissipate without the fuel of your reaction. The silence, the refusal to take the bait, becomes the most potent disarming response. It shifts the dynamic, removing the satisfaction the provocateur might have sought from your emotional outburst. This principle extends profoundly into our personal lives and our interactions on social media. Imagine a family gathering where an older relative makes a thinly veiled critique of your life choices, your career, or your relationship status. The urge to explain, to justify, to prove them wrong can be overwhelming. Yet what if you simply listened, truly listened to their words, and recognized that their criticism often stems from their own anxieties, their own worldview, or even their own unfulfilled expectations? Instead of entering into a heated debate that will leave everyone drained, you could offer a simple, "I appreciate your concern," or even a gentle, "I hear what you're saying." This isn't agreement. It's an acknowledgement that denies the need for an emotional battle. You choose to protect your inner peace rather than sacrificing it for an argument that rarely changes hearts or minds. On social media, where negativity and provocation run rampant, the unspoken reply is often the most powerful tool. Scrolling past, ignoring the inflammatory comment, or even blocking the source is a radical act of self-preservation. It is a conscious decision not to allow the toxic energy of others to pollute your mental space. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus famously said, "It is not things themselves that disturb men, but their judgments about these things." And Marcus Aurelius echoes this profound truth. If you are pained by any external thing, it is not the thing itself that troubles you, but your judgment about it. And it is in your power to wipe out this judgment now. This is the core of cultivating the pause. The insult, the criticism, the rude gesture, these are merely external events. They have no inherent power to disturb your peace unless you grant them that power through your interpretation, your judgment, and your subsequent emotional reaction. The wise answer is to interrupt that automatic chain of judgment and reaction, to create a gap where wisdom can enter. Consider the practical application of this. You're waiting in line and someone rudely cuts in front of you. Your blood pressure spikes. Your initial thought is to confront them, to assert your right, but pause, take a deep breath, observe the sensation in your body. Is this person intentionally trying to disrespect you, or are they simply oblivious, hurried, or struggling with their own burdens? Does their action truly diminish you? Does confronting them elevate your spirit, or merely drag you into a petty conflict? Often, simply letting it go, choosing your inner peace over an external skirmish, is the truly wise answer. The person who cut in line gains nothing from your silence, but you gain everything: the preservation of your tranquility. Practical exercise, the 3-breath boundary. To cultivate this invaluable skill of the pause, practice the 3-breath boundary daily. Whenever you feel yourself triggered by a sharp word, a frustrating event, or even an internal surge of impatience, stop. Before you say anything, before you react, before you even fully form a thought of retort, take 3 deep, slow breaths. 1. Breath 1. Inhale deeply, focusing on the air filling your lungs. As you exhale, imagine releasing the initial surge of emotion, the anger, the fear, the indignation from your body. Let it go. 2. Breath 2. Inhale again, calmly and deliberately. As you exhale, create a mental distance between yourself and the external event. Remind yourself, this is external. It is not me. 3. Breath 3. Inhale for the final time, filling yourself with a sense of calm and clarity. As you exhale, consciously choose your response. Will it be silence, a factual statement, a redirect, or simply the decision to let it pass? This practice creates a conscious gap, a sanctuary where you regain control over your internal state. It allows you to become the still pond, letting the ripples subside without internalizing the disturbance. With consistent practice, this pause will become your natural mode of operation, transforming you from a reactor to a conscious agent, capable of silencing the external noise, not with a rebuttal, but with the profound, unshakable dignity of your own inner peace. Your wise answer will be the calm that settles in your presence, leaving others with nothing to push against but their own fading projections. In the quiet chambers of your own mind lies a power more profound than any spoken word, a strength capable of disarming the most relentless critics and silencing the loudest aggressors. It is not a power born of force or intimidation, but of an unshakable inner calm, a stillness that reflects the wisdom of the ages. Today, we begin to uncover these wise answers, not as weapons to wield, but as keys to unlock your own impenetrable fortress of serenity. 1. Mastering the silence of self-control. In the relentless theater of human interaction, where words often clash like swords and emotions run wild, there lies a profound power, not in the sharpness of your retort, but in the stillness of your soul. Imagine, if you will, the serene, unyielding presence of a majestic lighthouse. Its purpose is not to battle the tumultuous waves that crash against its base, nor to silence the howling gales that threaten its light. Instead, it stands, a beacon of steadfastness, simply being. Its strength emanates from its core, from its deep roots in the earth, its unwavering foundation. The lighthouse doesn't need to argue with the storm. Its very existence, its calm illumination, speaks volumes. It guides ships through darkness, not by fighting the chaos, but by offering a clear, consistent truth. This lighthouse is you, in moments of challenge. When others project their insecurities, their anger, their criticisms onto you, seeking to draw you into their storm, your most potent answer can be to embody that lighthouse. You do not engage in the futile wrestling match of words, nor do you allow their turbulent energy to extinguish your inner light. Your power stems from your capacity to remain unruffled, to hold your ground, to keep your inner lantern burning brightly, no matter the external tempest. This isn't passivity, it is a profound, active choice. It is the wisdom of discerning what is truly yours to control, your perception, your reaction, your inner state, and what is merely the transient, uncontrollable noise of the world outside. When you master this inner silence, you become an immovable force, an echo of nature's deepest wisdom, and the chaos around you, finding no anchor in your calm, eventually dissipates. Let's consider a common scenario in our hyper-connected, often confrontational modern world. Picture yourself in a heated online discussion, perhaps in a professional forum or a community group. Someone, perhaps feeling emboldened by the anonymity of the screen, posts a scathing personal attack on your ideas or even your character, filled with inaccuracies and venom. Your first instinctive reaction might be a surge of anger, a desire to immediately type out a furious, detailed rebuttal, to dismantle their argument point by point, to expose their flaws. This is the natural human impulse to defend, to retaliate. However, the Stoic path offers a different, far more powerful avenue. Instead of diving headfirst into the fray, you pause. You observe the sensation of anger, the quickening of your pulse, the heat rising in your chest. You acknowledge these feelings without letting them commandeer your actions. Then, you bring to mind the principle of the lighthouse. Does engaging in a prolonged, aggressive debate with this person truly serve your purpose? Will it lead to productive dialogue, or merely fuel a cycle of negativity? Often, the answer is clear. It will only escalate the conflict, drain your energy, and compromise your inner peace. So what is the wise answer? It might be a brief, factual clarification, delivered without emotion if necessary, or more potently, it might be the conscious choice not to engage at all. To let the comment stand, understanding that its validity rests not on your reaction, but on its own merits or lack thereof. By choosing silence, by refusing to be drawn into their chosen battlefield, you retain control. You deny them the satisfaction of provoking you, and you preserve your mental and emotional resources for more constructive endeavors. Imagine the shift in power. They launch an attack, expecting a fierce counterattack, but instead, they are met with a calm, unbreachable wall of non-reaction. Their words, finding no echo, no resistance, fall flat, losing their impact and often leaving the aggressor feeling disarmed and indeed silenced by the sheer lack of engagement. This disciplined response is not weakness. It is the ultimate demonstration of inner strength and self-mastery. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Marcus Aurelius, Meditations. This timeless wisdom from the philosopher-emperor Marcus Aurelius cuts directly to the core of this first wise answer. He reminds us that while the words, actions, and opinions of others are entirely beyond our control, they are outside events. Our internal landscape, our thoughts, our judgments, and crucially, our reactions are entirely within our dominion. When you internalize this truth, when you truly realize it, you unlock an immense reservoir of strength. The power to silence another, then, isn't about outwitting them with clever words, but about rendering their words powerless by refusing to give them control over your inner world. It's about recognizing that their barbs only wound if you choose to absorb them, if you allow them to penetrate your mental defenses. By asserting control over your mind, you build an impenetrable fortress around your peace, making their external aggressions utterly ineffective. For the next 3 days, embark on a deliberate practice of the unresponsive core. Choose one specific area of your life where you frequently encounter external provocations or unsolicited criticisms, perhaps in family discussions, at your workplace, or within your social circle, including digital spaces. When faced with words or actions designed to unsettle you or which you perceive as unfair, implement this 3-step process. 1. Pause and breathe. Before any immediate reaction, take a conscious deep breath. Use this moment to create a tiny space between the stimulus and your response. This isn't about suppressing emotion, but observing it. Notice the physiological sensations without judgment. 2. Internal inquiry. Ask yourself, is this truly within my sphere of control to change or fix right now? Will my emotional reaction serve my highest good or merely escalate the situation and deplete my inner resources? Acknowledge that the other person's behavior is theirs, not yours. 3. Choose your response. This might involve a calm, factual statement if absolutely necessary, but more often it will mean a deliberate non-response. Let their words hang in the air, unanswered by your emotional energy. Redirect the conversation, or simply allow the silence to settle. It requires courage to withhold a reaction, to simply be in the face of perceived attack. At the end of each day, journal about your experiences. How did it feel to consciously choose your response rather than being swept away by an automatic reaction? Did the situation resolve differently than it might have otherwise? Did you notice a shift in the power dynamic? Did you preserve your inner peace more effectively? This regular practice will steadily build your capacity for self-control, transforming external noise into an opportunity for internal growth and making your calm, composed presence a truly wise answer that often, powerfully, silences anyone. In a world clamoring with voices, opinions, and constant judgment, it is all too easy to feel besieged. Every day, the winds of criticism, the storms of social media, and the subtle barbs of envy threaten to erode our sense of self, to pierce the very core of our tranquility. We often find ourselves instinctively reaching for a retort, a sharp comeback, a way to verbally fence with the provocateurs in our lives, hoping to silence them with our own words. But what if true silence is not about quashing external noise, but about cultivating an internal stillness so profound that no external clamor can penetrate it? What if the most powerful answer to any aggression, any unfounded critique, any whisper of malice, lies not in what you say to others, but in the unwavering peace you maintain within yourself? Imagine for a moment that your mind is not a fragile, exposed landscape, but a magnificent, ancient city. This is your inner citadel, a fortress of consciousness, built with the strong walls of reason, guarded by the unwavering sentinels of discernment, and housing the sanctuary of your true self. Within its secure confines, serenity reigns. The gates are not locked against all comers, for wisdom dictates that we must observe the world. Instead, they are judiciously managed by the guards of judgment, allowing entry only to that which serves your virtue and protects your peace. When the world outside, whether it be the relentless roar of public opinion, the sniping of a critic, or the persistent drone of a negative colleague, hurls its darts and demands at your walls, your citadel does not tremble. It stands firm, unmoved. The sounds of battle may echo distantly, but they cannot disturb the profound calm within your courtyard. You are the architect of this fortress, the sovereign of its domain, and the ultimate arbiter of what gains entrance to its sacred spaces. The attacks come in many forms in our modern lives. Perhaps you poured your heart into a project, only for it to be met with dismissive critique, a cynical remark about your efforts, or a careless rumor, an unfounded accusation, begins to circulate through your professional network, threatening your reputation. Online, the arena of social media often transforms into a coliseum of cruelty, where anonymous voices feel empowered to hurl insults, to question your character, your intelligence, your very worth. From behind the shield of a screen, you might feel the familiar surge of adrenaline, the heat of anger, the ache of injustice. Your impulse is to defend, to explain, to fight back with facts, with outrage, to try and silence the aggressor with your own barrage of words. But in those moments, pause. Ask yourself, is this external engagement truly strengthening my citadel, or is it drawing me out into a battle I need not fight, depleting my inner resources and granting power to the very forces I seek to repel? The Stoics taught us a fundamental truth. Some things are within our control, and some are not. Our judgments, our impulses, our desires, our aversions, these are unequivocally ours to command. But the opinions of others, their actions, their words, their reactions to us, these lie entirely outside our dominion. When we seek to silence someone by engaging them in an external argument, we are often striving to control what is not controllable. We are attempting to force their perspective to align with ours, to dictate their emotional response, or to mandate their silence. This is a Sisyphean task, a futile expenditure of energy that often leaves us more frustrated and less at peace than before. Consider the example of a vicious online attack. You post something you genuinely believe in, a piece of your art, a heartfelt opinion, or an achievement. Moments later, the notifications begin to flood in. One comment dismisses your work as amateurish, another attacks your character, a third twists your words, accusing you of something you never intended. The initial sting is undeniable. Your stomach tightens, your breath shortens. You feel the urge to type out a lengthy defense, to correct every misrepresentation, to publicly shame your detractors. But what good does that truly achieve? Does it change their minds? Does it mend the hurt? More often, it merely fuels the fire, inviting more negativity and pulling you further away from your center. This is the moment to retreat into your inner citadel. Close the gates. Let the words echo outside your walls. Acknowledge the initial feeling of hurt or anger, but do not dwell on it. Instead, observe it dispassionately, like a cloud passing through the sky. Then, apply the Stoic lens. This comment exists. It is an external event. What is my judgment about it? Is my judgment that this comment defines my worth, that it must be corrected at all costs, that it invalidates my effort? Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, offered a profound insight that serves as the cornerstone of this wise answer. If you are pained by any external thing, it is not the thing that disturbs you, but your own judgment about it. And it is in your power to wipe out this judgment now. This is the key. The words themselves are just sounds or pixels. Their power over you is granted by your interpretation, by your decision to let them breach your inner sanctum. To silence them, then, is not to make them stop speaking, but to render their words impotent within your own mind. It is to deny them the satisfaction of knowing they have stirred your peace. It is to choose to respond from a place of reasoned calm, or often to choose not to respond at all, which can be the most powerful answer of all. When you refuse to let their negativity invade your inner citadel, you automatically win. You preserve your peace, you conserve your energy, and you demonstrate an impenetrable strength that no external force can conquer. Your wise answer becomes an internal declaration. Your words are outside my walls. My peace resides within, and it is unassailable by your fleeting judgments. Now let us practice strengthening the walls of your own mind. I invite you to an exercise, a visualization to reinforce your inner citadel. Find a quiet space, close your eyes, and take a few deep breaths. Feel your body settling, grounding itself. Now, begin to picture your mind as a magnificent fortress, strong and ancient, standing tall against any storm. See its thick stone walls, unyielding and firm, rising high into the sky. Observe the sturdy gates, intricately designed, capable of withstanding great pressure. These walls represent your reason, your ability to discern truth from falsehood, your commitment to virtue. The gates are your judgments, the point of entry for all external information. Imagine yourself as the vigilant guardian of these gates. Every thought, every external comment, every piece of news that seeks entry must first pass through your scrutiny. Do not immediately open the gates to anything that approaches. Instead, observe it. Ask yourself, is this thought, this comment, truly beneficial? Is it aligned with my values? Is it within my control? If it is a harsh criticism, a baseless accusation, or a piece of distracting negativity, see it as an arrow flying toward your walls. Watch it hit harmlessly, then fall to the ground outside. It cannot pierce your defense because you have chosen not to give it permission. Feel the calm that resides within your citadel's central courtyard. This is your core self, unblemished by external chaos. This is where your wisdom, your courage, your justice, and your temperance reside. This is the source of your true strength. Make a conscious choice that nothing external can disturb this inner sanctuary without your explicit consent. Practice this visualization daily, especially when you encounter situations that threaten your peace. Before you react impulsively, mentally retreat. Step back into your fortress. Assess the external event from the safety of your inner walls. Remind yourself that you are the sovereign of your mind, and you decide what gains entry and what remains outside, powerless to affect your inner tranquility. This cultivation of an unassailable inner citadel is not a shield of indifference, but a stance of profound self-possession. It is the realization that true power lies not in controlling the world outside, but in mastering the world within. It is the practice of distinguishing between what is truly harmful and what is merely noise, choosing to engage only with that which adds value to your life and aligns with your deepest principles. When you master this, you discover a wise answer that needs no words, a silence that is more potent than any retort, a peace that becomes your ultimate, unshakable strength. Your inner citadel stands always. There is a profound silence that no spoken word can ever achieve, a quietude that transcends the clamor of external judgment and the sting of uninvited criticism. It is the silence cultivated within, a fortress built not of stone and mortar, but of understanding and resolute inner discipline. In the bustling marketplace of opinions, where voices rise and fall like tides against the shore, there exists a sanctuary, a citadel of self that remains untouched, unyielding. This is the fourth wise answer, not a retort you offer to the world, but a truth you embody within your very being. The unshakable citadel of self, where external judgment finds no entry. Imagine for a moment a towering lighthouse, standing firm against the fiercest tempest. The waves crash with formidable force, the winds howl with relentless fury, and the rain lashes down in an unceasing torrent. Yet the lighthouse remains, its beacon unwavering, cutting through the darkness. It does not argue with the storm, nor does it try to silence the roar of the ocean. It simply is. Its purpose is to stand, to guide, and in its steadfastness, it renders the chaos around it powerless to alter its fundamental nature or its mission. This lighthouse is your inner self, your core values, your deepest sense of purpose. The storm, with all its sound and fury, represents the external judgments, the criticisms, the attempts to undermine or diminish you. Their power is not inherent. It is granted by whether you choose to let their currents erode your foundations. In our modern world, the storms are constant. Consider the relentless scroll of social media, a digital arena where every thought, every action, every appearance is subjected to immediate, often harsh, scrutiny. You might share an achievement, a personal photo, or even a simple opinion, only to be met with a cascade of negativity. Anonymous remarks, public derision, or subtle, undermining comments from those you know. Or perhaps in your professional life, a project you poured your heart into is critiqued unfairly by a colleague who seeks to elevate themselves, or dismissed outright by a superior who fails to grasp its vision. Even within the intimate circles of family and friends, well-intentioned advice can sometimes morph into an invasive judgment of your life choices, your priorities, your very character. The instinctual reaction often involves defense, explaining, justifying, arguing, or at worst, internalizing the critique, letting it fester into self-doubt. We try to silence them by engaging in their arena, by meeting their noise with our own. But true silence, the silence that truly disarms, is found in the recognition that their words are merely sounds, vibrations in the air, until you assign them meaning and power. The Stoics understood this profound truth centuries ago. Epictetus, The former slave, who became a beacon of philosophical wisdom, taught us it is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. He wasn't suggesting indifference to the world, but rather a mastery over your internal landscape. He invited us to distinguish between what is within our control and what is beyond it, the opinions of others, their words, their judgments. These are firmly outside your sphere of control. You cannot dictate what they think or say. But your assent, your agreement to their validity, your emotional reaction, your choice of how to respond, these are entirely within your sovereign power. When you internalize criticism, you are, in essence, granting external forces the keys to your inner citadel. You are allowing them to rearrange your emotional furniture, to disturb your peace, to dictate your worth. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, echoed this sentiment with elegant simplicity. Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed, and you haven't been. This is not a denial of reality or a suppression of natural emotions. It is an invitation to profound self-awareness, an exhortation to recognize the intermediary step between an external event and your internal experience of it. A critical comment is an event. Your feeling of hurt, anger, or inadequacy is your interpretation, your judgment, your assent to the comment's power. The wise answer, then, is not to engage in a battle of words, but to withdraw your assent, to choose not to allow the projectile of their judgment to breach your walls. Consider the modern workplace. A colleague, perhaps envious or simply misguided, publicly criticizes your proposal in a team meeting, questioning your competence. The immediate surge of anger, defensiveness, or humiliation is natural, but the Stoic approach offers an alternative pathway. Instead of reacting impulsively, pause. Observe the feeling without judgment. Recognize that their criticism is an external event, their opinion, their projection. Ask yourself, is this true? Is this useful? Is this something within my control to change right now? Often, the answer is that it is merely their perception, colored by their own biases and motives. Your worth as a professional, as an individual, is not determined by their words. You have done your best work, or you have identified areas for improvement. Their words do not change the facts. By refusing to internalize their judgment, by denying it the power to disturb your inner equilibrium, you effectively silence it, not through a verbal counterattack, but through an internal act of profound self-respect and detachment. You may still address the factual points if necessary, but your emotional core remains intact, unshaken. This practice extends beyond grand confrontations to the subtle erosions of daily life. A friend cancels plans at the last minute and you feel rejected. A family member makes a snide remark about your lifestyle choices and you feel misunderstood. In each instance, the event itself is neutral until you layer your interpretation upon it. The friend may have a genuine emergency. The family member may be projecting their own anxieties. By recognizing that their actions and words are manifestations of their own internal worlds, you free yourself from the burden of taking it personally. You build a psychological distance, a buffer that allows you to observe without absorbing. The exercise for cultivating this unshakable citadel begins with a practice Epictetus called provocations, or attention. It is a constant vigilance over your thoughts, your judgments, and your reactions. When you encounter a challenging person or receive unwelcome feedback, follow these steps. 1. Pause and identify the trigger. Before any word leaves your mouth or any emotion consumes you, take a conscious breath. Acknowledge the external event, the criticism, the insult, the judgment. Do not deny it happened. 2. Observe your internal reaction. What emotions are arising? Anger, hurt, defensiveness, shame. Simply name them internally without judgment. I am feeling anger. I notice a wave of defensiveness. Do not immediately identify with the emotion, but rather observe it as an object passing through your consciousness. 3. Question your assent. This is the crucial Stoic step. Ask yourself, am I choosing to agree with this judgment? Am I choosing to be harmed by this? Remind yourself that the external event itself has no inherent power to harm you. Its power comes solely from your agreement, your assent, that it can harm you. You are choosing the interpretation. You are choosing whether to let the word pierce your armor. 4. Recall your values and principles. Ground yourself in what you know to be true about yourself, your intentions, and your efforts. Remind yourself of your virtues, your integrity, your diligence, your commitment. These are your inner compass, unswayed by external winds. Their words reflect their standards, not necessarily yours. 5. Reframe and reclaim control. If the criticism contains a kernel of truth, calmly consider it for improvement, but strip away the emotional sting. If it is unfounded, simply let it pass, like water off a duck's back. Reclaim your inner space. Reaffirm that your worth is not contingent on their approval. You have the power to decide what truly matters, what is worthy of your emotional energy. This is not about becoming unfeeling, but about becoming discerning. It's about feeling with purpose, not with passive reaction. This conscious practice of prososh and the withdrawal of assent is not a one-time event, but a lifelong discipline. It's like building muscle. Each time you choose not to be harmed, each time you observe your reaction without immediately capitulating to it, you strengthen your inner citadel. Over time, the external noise begins to recede. The sharp edges of criticism become blunted. The attempts to provoke you become futile, not because you have changed the external world, but because you have fundamentally altered your relationship to it. You have silenced their impact, not by silencing them, but by strengthening yourself. This is the profound freedom of the Stoic path. The realization that the true battle is always fought within. It is the choice to be the lighthouse, not the ship tossed by the storm. It is the wisdom to understand that their words hold only the power you give them. And by withdrawing that power, by fortifying your inner world with reason and virtue, you discover a peace so deep, so resolute, that no external voice, however loud or insistent, can ever truly disturb it. This is the quiet answer, the definitive response that needs no words, an unassailable inner tranquility that makes you truly impervious. Answer number 5, the unshakable calm. Imagine your inner world not as a fragile glass, easily shattered by the stones of criticism or the winds of scorn, but as a vast, ancient forest. The outer world may rage, storms may howl, branches may sway violently, but at the heart of that forest, the deepest roots remain undisturbed. They draw their strength from the earth itself, unconcerned with the fleeting chaos above. This is the unshakable calm, an internal fortress that no external attack can breach, the ultimate wise answer that requires no words. It is the profound realization that your peace is not a gift others can bestow or withhold, but a sanctuary you cultivate within. In the relentless modern torrent of digital noise, where every comment section can become a battleground, or in the challenging silence of a workplace where a colleague's passive aggression attempts to unsettle you, this answer is not spoken, but embodied. When faced with someone determined to provoke, to belittle, or to draw you into their own storm of negativity, your wise answer is your steadfast refusal to be moved. You observe their attempts, you acknowledge their words as mere sounds, and you choose not to let them penetrate your inner sanctum. Your calm demeanor, your composed presence becomes a mirror reflecting their own turmoil, rendering their barbs powerless against your serene resolve. They expect a reaction, an argument, a defense. Your silence, born of inner strength, disarms them completely. It is not an act of submission, but a declaration of sovereignty over your own emotional landscape. If you are pained by any external thing, it is not the thing itself that troubles you, but your own judgment about it. And it is in your power to wipe out this judgment now, Marcus Aurelius reminds us. He speaks of the profound truth that our suffering does not come from what happens, but from how we interpret and react to it. This final wise answer asks you to let go of the need for external validation, for the last word, for the perceived win in an argument. Instead, it invites you to choose the ultimate victory, the preservation of your own tranquility. When you decide that the opinions of others hold no sway over your self-worth, that their anger is their burden, not yours, you become invulnerable. Your peace becomes a shield, and your silence a resounding declaration of self-possession that effectively silences any external attempt to disturb your equilibrium. For a moment, close your eyes and imagine the most challenging person or situation you currently face. Picture their words, their expressions, their attempts to unsettle you. Now, instead of rehearsing a retort, imagine your breath deepening, your shoulders relaxing, your internal gaze turning inward. Feel a quiet strength solidifying within you, like a bedrock beneath shifting sands. Practice the art of radical acceptance, not condoning the behavior, but accepting its existence without letting it disrupt your inner world. For the next week, identify one situation each day where you might typically react impulsively to negativity or criticism. Instead, choose deliberate non-engagement. Observe your internal urge to respond, then consciously shift your focus to your breath, to your inner calm. Let your silence be your wise answer, a testament to your unshakable inner peace. There comes a point in our journey when the noise of the world, the clamor of criticism, the sharp edges of judgment begin to lose their power. It is not that they cease to exist, but rather that our relationship to them undergoes a profound transformation. This shift is one of the most potent weapons in your Stoic arsenal, a profound truth that can silence any detractor not through argument or retort, but through the sheer, unassailable fortress of your inner calm. This is the invincible shield of acceptance. Imagine yourself as a grand ancient tree rooted deep within the earth. The winds may rage, storms may lash your branches, and the incessant chatter of the forest may swirl around you. Yet your core remains unshaken. Your trunk stands firm, your roots grip the soil with an unwavering resolve. The storm does not define the tree, it merely passes through it. The tree does not resist the wind with anger or frustration, it simply allows it to be, standing in its own truth. This is the essence of acceptance, not as resignation, but as an active, empowering choice to acknowledge reality without allowing it to disturb your inner tranquility. When someone seeks to undermine you with words, with judgment, or with outright malice, they are essentially throwing pebbles at this ancient tree. If you are rigid, brittle, and unyielding in the wrong way, you might splinter. If you are desperate for external validation, each pebble might feel like a crushing blow, eroding your bark, weakening your foundation. But when you don the shield of acceptance, you recognize these external assaults for what they truly are. Mere impressions, fleeting vibrations in the air, opinions belonging solely to the one who utters them. They are not you. They are not your truth. They are not within your control to prevent, but they are entirely within your control to disarm. Consider a modern scenario. You've poured your heart and soul into a project at work only for a colleague to publicly dissect it, highlighting flaws, or worse, implying your incompetence. Your initial instinct might be to defend, to argue, to feel a surge of anger or shame. This is where the invincible shield comes into play. Acceptance here does not mean agreeing with their criticism, nor does it mean passively allowing yourself to be devalued. Instead, it means accepting the fact that this person has expressed this opinion, that this situation is unfolding in this way, without letting it penetrate your sense of self-worth or disrupt your inner composure. You acknowledge the external event. My colleague has just criticized my work. And then you apply the wisdom. Their criticism is their perspective, their impression. It does not diminish my effort, my intention, or my inherent value. The Stoics taught us this profound distinction. Some things are within our control, and others are not. The words, opinions, and actions of others fall firmly into the latter category. Epictetus put it plainly: some things are up to us, and some are not up to us. Our opinions are up to us, and our impulses, desires, aversions, in short, whatever is our own doing. Our bodies are not up to us, nor our possessions, nor our reputations, nor our public offices, nor, in a word, whatever is not our own doing. Their judgment of you, their attempt to silence you is not up to you. Your response, your inner state, your choice to remain undisturbed, these are entirely yours. This acceptance is not about indifference to justice or a lack of care. It is about strategic indifference to the impact of others' opinions on your soul. It allows you to respond with clarity, not reactivity. If the criticism is valid, acceptance allows you to hear it without defensiveness and to learn. If it is unfounded, acceptance allows you to let it pass like a cloud without leaving a shadow on your mind. You simply accept the reality of the external world, not as a command to obey, but as a datum to observe. Think of it another way. When someone tries to provoke you, they are essentially trying to hand you a burning coal. If you accept it, you get burned. But if you see it for what it is, a burning coal offered by another, you can simply choose not to take it. You accept that they are offering it, but you don't accept it into your possession, into your emotional landscape. This refusal to engage with their negative energy, this non-acceptance of their projected suffering, is the ultimate silencer. It disarms them because their ammunition requires your reaction to be effective. Consider the vast ocean. It accepts all the rivers that flow into it, the rain that falls upon its surface, the ships that sail its expanse, and the creatures that dwell within its depths. It does not resist. It does not argue. It does not complain. Yet the ocean remains the ocean, vast, powerful, and utterly serene in its boundless acceptance. Its nature is not altered by the additions. It simply integrates them or allows them to dissolve, maintaining its essential character. You too can cultivate such an oceanic nature, allowing the currents of external judgment to flow around you without ever disrupting your profound inner stillness. This wise answer is about recognizing the impermanence of all external things, including the fleeting opinions of others. Marcus Aurelius contemplated this deeply. When you are grieved by any external thing, it is not the thing itself that troubles you, but your own judgment about it, and it is in your power to wipe out this judgment at any moment. The judgment, the criticism, the attempt to silence you, these are just external things. The wise answer is to reclaim your power over your own internal judgment, to simply wipe it clean, to choose a perspective that leaves you undisturbed. Your practice for the invincible shield of acceptance. This isn't a passive stance, it's an active mental discipline. 1. Observe without judgment. The next time you encounter a critical comment, an unfair judgment, or an attempt to provoke you, whether online, at work, or in person, pause. Instead of immediately reacting, try to observe the event as an objective scientist would. A person has just expressed a negative opinion about X. Don't add layers of emotional interpretation yet. Simply acknowledge the raw data. 2. Identify the source, external versus internal. Clearly separate the external event, their words, their tone, their actions, from your internal reaction, your feelings of anger, hurt, defensiveness. Remind yourself, their words are external. My feelings are internal. I can choose how to process my internal feelings, but I cannot control their external words. 3. Question the claim to your self-worth. If the criticism challenges your identity or worth, ask, is this opinion an objective truth or merely an interpretation? Does this person's perspective define who I am, or does my character and my actions define me? You will quickly realize that external opinions, however vehement, have no inherent power to redefine your inner reality unless you grant them that power. 4. Embrace amor fati for the situation. Practice a form of love of fate for the situation itself. This doesn't mean you love being criticized, but you accept that this is happening now. This is the situation I am presented with. How can I respond virtuously and wisely given this reality? By accepting the present moment as it is, you cease fighting against reality and free up energy to choose your response. 5. Choose your response wisely. With the shield of acceptance firmly in place, you are no longer reacting from a place of vulnerability. You can then choose a wise answer, perhaps a calm inquiry for clarification, a simple acknowledgement without engagement, a dignified silence, or a deliberate shift of focus. Your response will be born of clarity and inner strength, not fear or defensiveness. This cultivation of the invincible shield of acceptance is a lifelong practice. It means developing an inner reservoir of peace so deep that no external disturbance can truly penetrate it. It means understanding that true strength lies not in resisting every perceived attack, but in becoming so fundamentally secure in your own nature that the attacks themselves become impotent, merely echoing in the vast, serene space of your unshakable mind. It is a powerful, wise answer that silences anyone, not by dominating them, but by rendering their attempts to disturb you utterly meaningless. And now, as we navigate the journey toward those wise answers, we must consider the ground from which they spring, your own unconquerable mind. For the truest wisdom isn't just in what you say, but in the inner fortress you build, a sanctuary where the clamor of the world cannot penetrate. This is the 7th principle, a deeper dive into the resilience that makes wise answers not just possible, but effortlessly potent. The unassailable fortress of your mind. Imagine your mind not as a fragile vessel tossed by every wave of criticism or insult, but as an ancient, unassailable fortress, its walls built of reason and its gates guarded by discernment. External words, no matter how venomous, are but arrows shot against its stone. They may strike, but they cannot breach the defenses you've painstakingly erected. The art of silencing anyone, then, becomes less about finding the perfect retort and more about cultivating an inner state where their words lose all power to wound or disturb. You are not silencing them through debate, but by rendering their noise irrelevant to your inner peace. Consider the modern battlefield of social media, where a torrent of anonymous opinions, quick judgments, and harsh criticisms can engulf anyone. Or perhaps it's the passive-aggressive comments from a colleague, the unsolicited advice from a family member, or the dismissive tone of a superior. If your inner fortress is weak, each of these can feel like a direct hit, eroding your confidence and sparking a defensive reaction. But when your inner citadel is strong, these external noises simply echo off its walls, dissipating harmlessly. You recognize them for what they are, mere sounds, opinions, or projections that belong to the speaker, not to you. You cease to internalize them, to give them a residence in your valuable inner space. The wise answer, then, sometimes is no answer at all, but a serene refusal to engage on a battlefield you have chosen to abandon. The Stoics knew this profound truth. Epictetus often reminded us, what is in our control are our opinions, our impulses, our desires, our aversions, and in short, whatever is our own doing. What is not in our control are our body, our possessions, our reputation, our commands, and in short, whatever is not our own doing. When someone tries to silence you with their negativity, they are attempting to manipulate your reputation or your emotional state, both of which are largely outside your control in terms of their actions, but entirely within your control in terms of your reaction. Your inner fortress is built on the understanding of this boundary. Therefore, your practice is to consistently reinforce this fortress. When faced with a challenging comment or a person determined to provoke, pause. Instead of crafting a verbal counterattack, turn inward. Ask yourself, is this within my sphere of control? Does this person's opinion alter my virtue or my integrity? Is this an attack on my character or merely their perception, perhaps tainted by their own struggles? Observe the impulse to react, but do not automatically follow it. Allow the words to land, but like a skilled martial artist, redirect their energy without absorbing the impact. Let them pass, like clouds drifting across the sky of your awareness. This is not passive submission. It is active, discerning resistance, a powerful, silent answer that fortifies your spirit and leaves the provocateur with nowhere to land their verbal blows. This wise answer, born of inner tranquility, is often the most profound silence you can offer. You have journeyed through the realm of wise responses, understanding that true power resides not in the sharpest retort, but in the quiet strength of your character. These 5 answers are not mere phrases. They are gates to your inner citadel, fortifications built by self-awareness and unwavering principles. Imagine a deep, still lake, reflecting the sky with perfect clarity. When stones are thrown into it, ripples spread, but the lake's depth remains undisturbed, its essence untouched. Similarly, your serenity, cultivated through Stoic practice, allows you to absorb the shocks of the world without losing your fundamental composure. The true art of silencing anyone lies not in winning an argument, but in rendering the need for one obsolete. When you respond from a place of clarity, reason, and self-possession, the external noise loses its power. Others may continue their clamor, but it will no longer find fertile ground within you. You become the calm at the center of the storm, an anchor in turbulent waters. This is the profound peace that comes from knowing what is yours to control, your perceptions, your judgments, your reactions, and releasing what is not. Remember the words of Marcus Aurelius, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." It is an invitation to elevate yourself, to respond with a wisdom that transcends the petty disputes and provocations of daily life. When someone seeks to draw you into their chaos, your wise answer, whether spoken or simply embodied in your demeanor, becomes a testament to a different way of living. It's a quiet declaration of your inner freedom, so let your wisdom be the silence that truly speaks volumes. Let your calm be the answer that cannot be countered. This path asks you to refine not just your words, but your very being, until your presence itself becomes a profound and unassailable response.